Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium. How's it going? Happy April Fool's Day if you subscribe to such superstitions and ne'er-do-well tricks and pranks. I'm here today just to talk about kind of my first week working at an actual aquascaping shop. Beyond that, I thought I'd talk about some foibles of learning on the job, a couple heartwarming stories, and answer any of your guys' questions that you have, plus show off some of the fun kind of stuff that I'm amassing while I work there. We're going to be setting up for the AGA conference, which is the Aquatic Gardener Association. And so I'm actually going to be down in Florida at the what's it called? Florida Aquatic Nurseries. Gonna check them out, and they're the biggest distributor of all aquatic plants to Petco to everyone. Basically, they're the biggest aquatic nursery in the country. And then I'm gonna go down to Seagrass Farms, another large, if not the largest distributor of fish, and hopefully check out a couple local shops. I'm going diving in the blue holes there for freshwater blue holes, that is, not the ones out in the sea. But I'll be going to the biggest artesian well in the world, which should be cool. And I just happened to notice that George Farmer and Corey over at Aquarium Co-op and Chris Lukop, Shrimp King, have all made trips to the same area that I'm going to. So I thought, here I am missing Aquashella. We'll all have something cool to show them. Well, I guess they beat me to some of it, but we're going to be there for weeks, so it's going to go a little deeper than that. Yeah. Okay, so hey Vex and Cat, how's it going? Bentley, what's up? We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. Another like wow. Last year was a big wow on April Fool's Day in that somebody pledged $500 through PayPal. And I thought, "Oh, that's going to get returned or something," cuz they didn't want YouTube to take the fees, the 30% or whatever. And so they did I guess I can say who it is. His name is Alan, and another guy named Sam have both contributed a lot. But April Fool's Day last year, I still remember it, and I still want to thank those folks. But since it's a momentous time, maybe I'll hit 5,000 subscribers on April Fool's Day this year, and then someone will quit tomorrow and it'll go down. But I'm here to answer questions, and then in between the dead silence of no questions or whatever, I'll do the usual showing my tank. I've got some new fish hatching. My tanks downstairs are a friggin' mess. And yeah, we'll just have some fun, hang out. I might go live again later tonight just because with my new job, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I probably will have a live stream schedule now. Like it'll probably be like every Tuesday or every Monday, Alex is going to live stream. But I don't like leaving out all the folks over the pond or under the pond down in Australia. And yeah, so let's see here. 3 more subs to go. Right on, Ant N. Fancy Tail Aquatics, how's it going? Vex and Cat, how's it going? Dominique Costa, hello. Animal Lover number 1, what's up? Thank you guys all for joining. Feel free to ask questions. So I just got a question that was, Alex, what's your favorite shrimp? That's a tough one. So lately I've really been digging on these they're called short nose algae eating shrimp. They have super long noses, and there's a long nose form. And all the names don't mean anything, anyways, because they don't have friggin' Latin names yet, some of these shrimp. But I like those a lot. The other ones I just can't get out of my head, and I actually got a delivery of at the exact time I was supposed to be at work on the second day on the job. So I called my boss and I was like, I have shrimp coming. And he was like, you know what? I understand. Get your shrimp acclimated, come in, and you're fired. No, he was cool about it. We've been friends for a while. So working at Aquarium Zen has been rad. It's kind of an interesting thing in that I will be managing myself basically, which is very great of him to I guess bestow that trust upon me. So that'll be great. We'll be able to kind of, he's still doing all the ordering and the planning of the direction of the shop and most of the big displays. But, he's bouncing everything off of me and we're picking out plants for the new displays. We ripped one down this week and we're going to rebuild it. Hopefully, I'll have some footage of that for you guys. And let's get to answering some questions, and I'll hop back in on that if that works out. So, Zebra Daniels, by the way, just doing Florida. I'm coming down to Florida. Um, yeah, they are the easiest to breed, probably. Zebra Daniels and Leopard Daniels and Giant Daniels, those are probably your easiest to breed as far as parameters and everything go. They've been in the hobby for so darn long that that's just how it goes. Speaking of shrimp, also I've got JH. How is it going? I got Bentley and JH. How's it going, guys? JH, I wish I could catch your show, but now I work, so I'll have to. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's usually really busy on Sunday. But as for my favorite shrimp, Angela Miller, well, I'm glad you did and welcome. As for my very favorite shrimp, it's still Lucas Brett's Neocaridina blue shrimp. I've been working on his line. His line was an incredible line to begin with, but what I've been doing to his line is I hold them up to a flashlight. Sorry, I'm getting glare because of the light at this time of day. But I hold them up to a flashlight in the middle of the night, and if they're not solid blue, like if they have specks of blue, but they're not really a solid blue that's dark, like I don't even want to see their babies. I don't want to even be able to know when they're buried or that they have a saddle. And they get separated into another tank if they do. So that's just kind of how I keep the strain healthy. Also, I got this new crypt in here. If you can kind of see it, looks like ribbon candy. It's beautiful and metallic. And that's I'm going to say it wrong, but the Hedori crypt. I love the new job. Let's see here. Alluring betas. Hello. Don't fall asleep. What are the requirements, preferences for breeding the zebra danio? Well, do you have water and do you have places for them to breed? Because those are the preferences. They can breed in anywhere from 6.5 to 8.2 water, and you probably want to keep them around 75 degrees, but they can go all the way down to 65 and all the way up to 85. So they're pretty flexible. It's more about keeping water conditions consistent, and then you drop the temperature a little bit. I wouldn't have any other critters in there with them, and yeah, so. Yeah, Aquashella, I'm sad I missed that too. I might do another video on breeding. I could do a video on breeding zebra danios and things like that. But if you follow any of my other videos talking about breeding, if you guys follow any of my videos talking about breeding uh celestial pearl danios or rasboras, any of the smaller fish, they pretty much apply to any of the smaller like open water fish, white cloud minnows. They kind of apply to each other. Tetras are a little different, but all the cyprinids are really similar when you breed them. And it's just kind of a waiting game a lot of times, and just making sure that they're alone in there and watching for the eggs, feeding them good live food, and that. As for missing Aquashella, I was so bummed because Rob over at Flip Aquatics and Teresa Neal sent me free passes to go to Aquashella, and then of course I was just like, yeah guys, it's like a week out. I can't fly there. I start a new job. I'm sorry. But I wish I had gone. I wish I'd known a little earlier. Maybe I would have planned it a little differently or whatever. But I was very kind to them. So thanks to them too. Scottish Aquatics, what's up, Scott? How's it going, brother? Just hope you're doing well. What's my oldest shrimp in my tank? Ooh, I don't know for sure. I don't honestly know for sure. I've had other shrimp. I kept cherry shrimp when those were brand new. When they were new to the hobby in the early 2000s, I thought they were like the coolest thing ever, and I kept those and ghost shrimp together for some reason with fish. But I had this one cherry shrimp that lived a really long time, like maybe 2.5, 3 years, and that's a long time for a Neocaridina type shrimp. I would guess I have some shrimp pushing two that are Lucas Brett's blue colony right now. That's kind of when I rebooted up all my tank. I had like two tanks before that going, and then I set up eight more in the span of, I think it was 2016 or 17. I started it up again. So I've only really been back in the hobby, like with a fish room or breeding projects and selling stuff for, I don't know, 2 years or something like that. It's and the channel's only been up a year and a half almost. Is it? Not yeah, yeah, a year and a half. So in any case, I really want to thank all of you. Want to thank all the subscribers. I bet we're gonna hit 5K today on April Fool's Day, and I bet someone's going to seriously unsubscribe just so they can say, haha, April Fools. You got your Dario alluring betas. So that's crazy. I want to say that working at Aquarium Zen in Seattle has been really cool in that I've counted now 9 of you have come in. Two people from out of town, which is awesome, and they're like, "Hey, I watch your videos," and so that really made me feel good that there's people in town that I don't know personally. They haven't reached out to me online yet, and they came in. One girl was working for some hotel chain, and she was in town for the weekend for meetings, and so that was really cool that she came into the shop and she's like, I hope it's not creepy, but I watched your channel. And my boss was just kind of laughing, and he's super laid back about stuff like that. So as long as we're not slam busy, you guys are always welcome to come in, say hi. I promote his shop on my channel a bit, and in my store, I'm trying not to promote my breeding and stuff. I'm trying to bring him most of the stuff, but I'm going to continue to do that on the side and try to keep work and play a bit separate, even though they're the same thing. So if you want something, you can still hit me up for it. Uh, Poo Dog 69. Now there's a name. Her April Fool. Hey, I bought red cherry shrimp from Aquatic Arts, and I love the service. They were well packed and only one or two DOAs. Great service, and I saw baby shrimp within a week. You have a great partnership. Thanks, Poo Dog. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't lead you guys astray. I mean, Lucas Brett's Flip Aquatics for high-end Caridina that they've imported, like Pinto, super rare, solid blue bolts and stuff like that. Flip Aquatics, Han Aquatics for other super rare Caridinas, and then so Lucas Brett's Aquatic Arts, and then Flip and Han. Those are four people that I would trust and recommend anytime. Han Aquatics, especially with the plants. I've got codes in the description if you guys need to order anything. I think he's got some sales running, but if you use my code, just like everywhere else, the money that I get as an affiliate link, I throw into a pool and we're doing giveaways just like I did last week or whatever. So yeah, hold on one moment. Changing the setting. All right. Okay. Thanks, Bentley. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Do they have an online service? And Angela, no. So, Aquarium Zen it's a very ma and pop shop. Right now, we're running on a crew of three of us. I'm coming in to take over some like several part-time pieces, and basically, we have a girl who comes in who's very sweet, gal named Lauren comes in. She changes the water. She cleans the tanks with fish for sale in them. Our owner cleans the tanks and trims all the display tanks and wabikuzas and stuff like that. I showed you like a third or half of the ones that we have in the store right now. And then I'll be taking on a role of cleaning up and organizing, doing more displays in the tanks, helping people. Just when people come in and they're like, I need to start a tank, I don't know where to start. That's going to be a big role for me there. Because those can be big purchases, especially at an ADA retailer. You know, you could be dropping a grand, and it's important that we don't lead them astray. I have a philosophy that I'm never going to tell people at that store, and I told the owner, like, I'm never going to tell them they need something they don't need. They don't need a blown glass flute for their CO2. They can use this Fluval 6.99 or 5.99 piece from Petco. But on the other hand, if they want that blown glass flute that looks pretty cool and futuristic, we are there to help with that stuff. But part of the reason I am on his team now too is we may be bringing things, plants at least, like rare plants online. I don't know. We're thinking about it. If I could have any color, what would I have? Like crystal blue, purple, neons. If they could stabilize the purple color, Lucas Bretz has some purples. I've had two purples in all my time keeping blues. And if we could stabilize that, I would love a nice like lavender, like this plant shrimp, or even like a bright pink. Like I don't know what it looks like on your screen. To me, it looks really faded out, but you can maybe get a sense of the color. Let's see. Can we kind of shade out? Yeah, it's hard to get true color on live streams, but yeah. So I would say uh, that's that. Just did a local fish store tour of Dallas, Texas. Aquatics was my favorite. Yeah, that's a good one. I've been down to Dallas a couple times too. JH Aquatics, man. I bet anything compared to the Virgin Islands has a bit of selection because you're probably just limited on what gets shipped out there, I would imagine, right? Um, I also have I have a discount which helps a lot working there, so I'm gonna get 30% off fish, which will be cool, and I get to order fish. Um, I got some flame moth recently. Let's see here. I'm trying to grow it on these things that Han sent me over at Han Aquatics, and it's actually working really well. He recommended, and this is a tip for you guys, to grow the moss right at the water level, like so that most of it's submerged, but some pieces are out, and just let it hang there. This has only been open for, I don't know, 3 days, and it's tripled in size, being where it's at, just like that on one of these little suction cup 3D printed things. I've also got Anubias variegated and pinto growing. The leaves are melting right now, but yeah. Uh, yeah, Texas has a good aquascaping group as well. The other thing that was kind of fun was, so you see all these bucephalandra plants I have here. This whole area is just kind of stuffed full of different species, and you can't tell as easily what the species are in low tech. So this tank has gone back to being low tech. Before we had a home show that I was going to be a part of, but there was a snowstorm in our part of the country, and they had to move the date, and therefore I could not be a part of this like tank show at our local fish club. But I had been putting CO2 in this tank over like 2 months ago. I'd put it in there, I'd switch it off between the two tanks and move the CO2 tank manually every like few days. I'd move it back and forth, and then at the end I was moving it like 8 hours on each tank each day for a week, just to try to give a little oomph to everything. But right now, everything is doing okay in here. The angelfish that I got from Aquatic Arts that they sent out for free. These chocolate boys are awesome. I like them. They're blues coming out. They're crazy. Watch, I should feed them for you guys. They are nuts. They'll literally, like, I had to drop the water on this because I like the open tank. I like the sound. I don't know what it is, but I love just scooting the lights aside and just looking down into my fish tank like it's a normal pond, and just kind of super focusing my vision into the pond. And these angelfish, like, look how stealthy they are. They're looking straight up at me, and I can't even see them in my vision, even though they're like I miss them, and then they'll come out at my face. So they're kind of crazy guys. And a gal. Let's see here. I'll give them some granules, some tetra tropical granules. We'll see what if they'll do their trick for that. Um, oh, you fly home tomorrow, JH? Well, I'm glad you got to hang out on the mainland for a while, buddy. Um, when I go down to Florida, I there are tetrakeeper. There are small species of angelfish that only get like 3 inches. These guys are gonna get 6 to 8 inches tall, so I'll probably need a new setup. My wife likes these fish, so she'll allow it. I actually have permission right now to get a new 40-gallon, if it's one of the high-tech ones. So that's kind of interesting. But let's see here. Let's get these angelfish interested. Hey guys, I have food. They'll just jump right out of the water. Guys. So, yeah, right now that's literally coming up out of the water. Um, yeah, so they're just kind of fun. They are rather aggressive, but that's okay. They're not really. They're eating baby. This is my Endler tank for like coals and stuff, just random populations, and they're definitely eating the Endler fry like there's no tomorrow, but that's okay. Yeah, exactly what Bentley said. There are dwarf Leopoldi. I think even the Altum ones, people have kind of bred some smaller size ones. They're not as small as the other dwarf ones. And by the way, let me tell you a story. So I'm coming to Florida the 23rd through of April through the 4th of I'm spitting. I'm so excited. Through the 4th of May, and I'll be up in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages area, checking out those aquatic springs. Also visiting the mother-in-law. And because we'll be visiting the mother-in-law, I'll probably be out at those springs a lot. She has a bunch of dogs I'm allergic to, and I think I may be allergic to her just a little. No, I should be nice. She's been very sweet. So I think Florida, that's going on. I might actually be meeting up with Walter Kelly, who runs United Tanks of America. He also runs Fish Tank Addicts and a few other sites and Facebook groups. He might meet up with me over in Gainesville for a drink for my Dr. Pepper, and he can have a beer or whatever. Yeah. Um, Minnesota. Go to visit the Minnesota Aquarium Society. I have not had that on my list, but I can check it out. I know they've got a lot of native fish that are cool there. The thing about Florida is, I've been told, and I've been to Florida a few times, I've been there 5 times, that you can literally put your fishing net in a ditch near the distribution centers, like that got wiped out during Hurricane Andrew in the early 90s. And over 1,700 species of invasive fish and plants basically got out. And whether it was from zoos, I mean, they had all sorts of stuff. Like hippos got out, I believe. They got those wrangled quickly. But they got a lot of stuff that got out during that one hurricane, and other hurricanes have also had more stuff spill out. So I want to try to catch some of it and just make a video of it. Last time I went to Florida, I was snorkeling and I was checking out the saltwater fish. Saw some lionfish, which was sad because they're kind of wrecking the Gulf there. And there's actually a bounty on them in Tampa, and you can like go hunt them. Yes, exactly. Alluring bettas. I really want to go get some sunfish too, some Florida sunfish. Florida Rotala ludwigia purple. What else do I want to find down there? Some of the crypts, also Carolinius Cabamba red, a true red. I have the frittata in here that you can see from South America, but uh, it's nothing compared to a true red that's been cooking under the Florida sunlight. And this, I know on live streams you can't see colors very well, anyways. The color authentic, like that is fire truck red, and it has like a pinkish hue on a live stream. So, whatever. Speaking of water, working in that new shop. I've been going through a gallon of water a day. It is 84 degrees in there when we open. Usually that's what it sits at. And instead of heating each tank, of course, we heat the place. And it is like 10 degrees warmer than you want your tanks usually, something like that. Because the doors open, it loses heat throughout the day, and at night it loses heat. So, it's really hot, and I have an autoimmune disease, lupus. So when I get hot, I get like lesions sometimes. Like I have a heat rash sensitivity that can either be from allergies or whatever. But it's friggin' hot in there with like 100% humidity for me when I'm used to outside it being, 55 or whatever. So that's interesting. But I really like the shop. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. Let me sit down. I've just been pacing. I'm probably making everyone nervous. My wife always says, "Stop! You're making me nervous." So, first story. Uh, we have Sunshine Aquatics in here. Short story. Russell Williams. Welcome everybody. If you haven't hit that like button, let's do a like spike, please. All I want is for you guys to like me. So, yeah. Um, I was gonna say the first story that was cool this week at work. And by the way, the first day I worked there, he was like, "Yeah, so you'll be training for the first 2 weeks probably," and and I turn on the register and I'm looking through it or whatever, and I have a few questions, but it's a Square system, like Square card reader and an iPad, which I used to have in my art gallery, and it's just it's all. And I've been in that store for literally hundreds, if not like 1,000 or more hours. So I know how he does most of his stuff. I've even watched water changes and whatever the method to a lot of it. So, um, within the first hour and a half, he was like, "I gotta go talk to the landlord and go run some errands and do some things. Can you watch the shop?" And I'm like alone? And he's like, "Yeah, just call me if you have any questions." And so that meant a lot to me that he trusted me to do that, but shows that kind of role that I'll be playing there is nice. Like he trusts me, and it'll be nice to just kind of hang out and yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to read Bentley's just doing Florida. Honestly, I used to sell a ton of floaters on Craigslist through OfferUp. Yeah, totally. A lot of people sell stuff on Facebook. I don't think you're supposed to technically sell live stuff of any kind on Facebook. They don't even like plants a ton, but it gets on there. Oh, I had a side rant before I tell you the touching story. The side rant is that Aquatic Arts, I wanted to thank them for the dwarf cories they sent, for the dwarf neocaridina, or dwarf shrimp, I should say. So I said, short nose algae eaters, dwarf shrimp, aquatic arts. I titled that video that. You guys probably watched it. And what happens? Demonetize, demonetize, demonetize all my videos that said dwarf shrimp, short nose shrimp, whatever. So I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, there's nothing. I don't swear in these. I talk about reproduction a little bit, but I don't think I even use the word sperm or egg or anything. I think I use the word like baby making magic or where the magic happens. Like, and people were ribbing me about that. Well, so it turns out I got demonetized because, and I figured this out finally after thinking, like, what did I do? using the word dwarf in combination with any fish. So if you have a YouTube channel, there is a chance that you can get demonetized for saying it because they have bots that read your mouth. So this video, I don't know, maybe they'll demonetize it. But it was because I had the word dwarf, and that didn't seem to trip it off. Like, that seemed to be okay unless they just changed something. But dwarf and then short, no. So short and dwarf in the same sentence seems to be the kiss of death. So I put up a couple private videos and then like made them public for a minute that had those words in them, and sure enough, that was it. So I changed the title of a lot of my videos and got them reviewed and remonetized. But apparently, I'm a hate mongerer because they should be called little people shrimp, and I shouldn't use adjectives when talking about them. YouTube. Cam Raleigh, if you get time at the end, would you be able to talk about dealing with soft water that is high pH? I live in Vancouver, right above Seattle. Keeping shrimp is a pain. Yeah, man, I can talk about that now. All right, all right, all right. So, you got high pH though. That's interesting. Usually you'll tend to get the softer pH or the lower pH if your water has nothing in it, because you get or neutral, but you get things breaking down in it like leaves and whatnot, and that's the only thing that can lower it. Whereas if you have the higher pH, like 8.0 or something, you've got like calcium or limestone or carbonate, something like that in there. So what I do is if you've got low TDS water with a high pH, that's actually really just fine for Neocaridina shrimp. It's harder for the Caridina shrimp, like the Taiwan bees and stuff like that. But for Neocaridina, don't sweat it a ton. You can keep them in up to 7.5 or even 8 pH, like cherry shrimp and blue dream shrimp and things like that. But you just have to do it over time. Do a drip acclimation, things like that. And beyond that, though, what I do personally is I put, you can use a little bit of carbon if you want, if you think that there's some active breakdown of, acids going on, natural enzymes. But what I do is I put coral in the water. I just add coral and I put it in the substrate. A pound per 10 gallons or 20 gallons should be fine. And just get some crushed coral. That can raise, again, that can raise the TDS. Oh, there's kids yelling outside. I thought someone got murdered. Alluring Bettas, hello. Just doing Florida, hello. Sunshine Aquatics, hello. Wow, there's a lot of you guys kicking around today. Am I the April Fool? In any case, so yeah, I would do that. With Neocaridinas, I've had TDS go up to 500. Now, TDS can be caused by several things. Usually it's like carbonates and stuff. But as long as it's consistent and slow changes, those shrimp are super bulletproof. As for the other kind, I'm sorry to say it, but you're going to need an RODI or distilling setup or collecting rainwater. I've done that though. I collect rainwater in a barrel outside on my deck, and then I also like my gutters. It's not sterile by any means, but that water has a TDS of like 6, even with the junk it gets off from the roof that's probably not good chemically. Um, but yeah, I would recommend adding a bag of coral, seeing how that does to your every 10 gallons, add a pound of coral, and see how that does for your water. That's definitely what you should do for guppies. The thing about you having high pH with nothing in the water though, that can't I can't think of how that would happen. So there must be acids, like natural organic enzyme acids breaking down. Maybe there's leaves in the water reserve in your town or something. And usually that lowers it. But the way to raise, that would cause a low pH. pH, but the way to raise it is like hardness. It's so that's kind of a puzzle. It's interesting. Uh, yeah, that's for fun RC. That's exactly what I just said. Was use crushed coral. You can use that. You can use cuttlefish bone, cuttle bone. You can use eggshells. I've used all those things. You can put them in the hang off the back, and then they're going to get water running over them. They're going to have bacteria eat them. The bacteria, if you leave the protein, that thin skin on the eggshells, when you hard boil them and they kind of like strip off on that thin protein film, that stuff's actually great. Boil it up to just get the whatever germs may be on there off. Crunch it up, put it in your, but don't like pull it off that protein thing, and that will actually the bacteria will grow all over that. And even if the eggshells don't dissolve quickly themselves, the bacteria that the shrimp and other nano, like your algae and your aufux and other bacterias and fungi that your fish and other little critters in your tank eat, uh, they will eat that bacteria that has been eating the calcium quicker. And that protein is kind of like a thing for them to live on, like agar. So that's kind of nice. Alex, what are some good fish to breed outside for pond season? You are not a fool for fun, RC. I am the April Fool. No, I am the April Fool. I am the April Fool. I'm done with that. Sorry, guys. I'm just in a weird mood today. Um, what are some good outside fish? Well, I was going to do a pond video again this year. I think that my favorite outside fish, depending on where you live, if you can maintain temperatures above 55 at night, or you have a heater. I don't know how that equates to heater. It's like I think that's isn't that like food in chimpanzee sign language? It's like, mm, mm. Uh, but in any case, I would do that. I would get wait till it's a little warmer, unless you're in the South or in Florida. By the way, I just made this little thing playing around with some materials that I had. So at work, this is kind of what we do between the downtime of, taking care of the plants. But this hydrocotyle verticillata, really this bowl is just an excuse to try to get this to grow because it's like going for $20 a little cup. So, in my world out here in Seattle, people are just paying $20, $20, $20 all day long for it. So in all my tanks, you can see what I've been propagating uh, as densely as I can do it without making myself throw up. So yeah, but I would say outside fish, Danios, white clouds, paradise fish are a good one that are all often overlooked. Neocaridina shrimp, another great one that's often overlooked. But I like celestial pearl danios, erythromicrons. Another interesting one if you live somewhere in the South or in California or somewhere where you get like where it hangs out in the 80s and at night it's like 60 still. Uh, I would say that you could do something interesting like these little rasboras, like these Somfongzi rasboras or these blue tetras or even autocinclus. I would love to see someone breed some of these. I was gonna say the other thing. This is a new brownie ghost boost that I just got yesterday. Look at the algae already. God, that is annoying. But just so beautiful. That shows the difference. I was just showing the boost back a while ago that I have in the big 40-gallon tank over there. Nope. All right, I just made my life difficult. Hold on one sec. I just pulled the leg off the light. All right. So this boost though is just it's beautiful. It's red, it's yellow and gold and green and like crimson. This is from Tom Barr. This cutting is, and it's a variegated brownie ghost. And I think it's beautiful. I have another variegated brownie ghost over here that looks like that. Wah, wah. So I was talking to the owner, Steve, about that of aquatic arts, and he's like, yeah, a lot of it is about getting really good clippings. Just because you have a species doesn't mean you have a good version of it, because, so this is just something to say out of the blue, is that just because you have the species doesn't mean you have the quality cut of the species. So make sure when you're getting your critters that you do that. That's why it's worth paying local hobbyists or people like Tran over at Han Aquatics or Lucas Bretz or whoever, uh, for good starting material. Also, I got this crypt Nuri from Lucas Bretz. He just sent it to me as a thank you, which thanks, Lucas. I appreciate it, brother. The Rotala Pearl still growing as slow can be. I don't know what the problem is. It just doesn't want to grow fast. Maybe that's just how it is. Other than that, the Kabamba Furcata, look at that. It's just, it's not, man, I wish this would show up true to life in color. Come on. It is like, it looks like a koosh ball, like a pink koosh ball. Also, the betta fry. I killed them. I have no good way to say it, but I killed like half of them. And, yeah, that happened. So, yeah, I killed them. Sorry, guys. Sad news on that front. But down in here, come on. Flashlight is needed, even though it's bright in here. We got tons of baby plecos. They're everywhere. So lots of baby plecos. We also have, if we can find them, I don't know. They're probably hiding. Yeah, there they are. We have also baby Battis. That's an adult, but the babies are hanging out probably right behind that filter. And yeah, so this tank making me happy right now. And the male Battis is probably right behind that. He's real shy. But all the little babies growing up well. Also, the baby Corridor is doing well. All of the guys in here are the panda ones, and I think there's a dozen right now. This tank's not big enough for a dozen, really, but I just wanted to count them because up in this tank I had so many that I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I think maybe the Rotala needs more light, but look, I mean, okay, I'll share my dirty laundry. I haven't cleaned algae in a week since I've been working and cleaning algae and things there. Look at what happens though. I have natural light coming in. It actually comes to the front here at this angle through the slats. And a Fluval 3.0 on max with red up and the deep yellow. Yellow's a little bit down and the deepest blue is a little bit down. But everything else grows like gangbusters under it. The Nuri's looking friggin' rad. A couple other crypts, I've got some bronze Wendettis. The Kabamba Furcata looks friggin' rad. And even the Rotalas down at the bottom are looking good. They've got the red saffron colors coming through. The Limnophilia looks good. And yeah, so I would hope it's light. Or I would think it's light. But I'm suspicious because, I mean, it's got a lot of light. It's got the crappy Nicrew light and the Fluval 3.0 and then natural light, which is causing crazy algae. So, yeah. But more baby Battis over here. Let's see if we can get any on film. Bentley, I really appreciate you. I know you're not my mod or anything. Check out Bentley's channel. If you didn't know Bentley had a channel, he does, and it's cool. And he's doing a really good job with it. And beams work, high lumen LED aquarium light. Might be able to grow mid-light plants, maybe. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, mid-light plants. I agree with that. If you need a strong spotlight on the cheap, I would get a Cree LED mounted on some Chinese non-brand, like, I don't know, Nightlight or CanSun or Go Sun, but as long as it has a Cree LED and over 30 watts, it's probably pretty darn bright. Get a floodlight, and that's a great way to do it. That's my recommendation for doing that on the cheap. I have some Aqua Sky lights that I don't know if I like them, the Aqua on Aqua Sky, but they do this okay. I mean, low light plants, rotalas that are like certain highlight species even seem to do okay, but they grow in forms that you can't recognize from the other. Uh, yeah, it might just grow slow. I know. I think that's why it's so expensive. I mean, it was like $15 or something silly for like 3 cuts of it that were 2 inches long. Um, Then we got this little fish. I think it's going to be a female betta. I think that's what that's going to be. So I didn't kill the ones in here. There's a few in here. There's also some baby Corydoras in here. And then there's some Pseudomagil eggs that should be hatching soon. Where are the baby Corydoras? There's like 7 baby Corydoras bouncing around in here. There's one over there. You see them? They've got their stripes now. So once they get probably in one more week, I'll take them out of the shrimp tank, and that's always like a week long process because this oddly enough this small tank, this little 10-gallon tank, is where I spend most of my time sitting and staring. I lay on the floor and I just put my face against the glass and just stare at it. These new algae eating shrimp though from Aquatic Arts. If you guys remember this tank at all, or even just go back to my live streams or my videos, there was this hard encrusted diatom algae on the back of the tank. And I had 10 of these guys in there. Where are they? Are they all sleeping right now? They're kind of nocturnal. No, there's one right there. Uh, there's one right there. So this guy right here, they have just completely cleaned the glass down to like new conditions in a matter of a week and a half. Like they're gonna work on that wall next, but they've worked their way around as a group, which is kind of interesting. And they'll move along in a line with like 4 or 5 together. And then in the day, they seem to be on the plants trying to blend in. They turn this green color, and their red nose goes away. They're an interesting one. The short nose algae eating shrimp. They've also turned more of a yellow green color from eating all that algae. But when I got them, they had a red nose and red markings all over their body, and that was because they'd been eating shrimp pellets. Up here, I've got my albino ram's horn colony going along pretty well. Baby plecos had been had. All my these are guys are doing great. I have an idea. Look at this blimp. Uh, so these guys are doing well. We've got Corys. We've got believe it or not, in this tank, I'm breeding a healthy colony of shrimp that are doing great, a healthy colony of guppies or endlers, I should say, that are doing great. Uh, 5 full-grown plecos, and then 6 little trilineatus corridors, all of which are breeding, and ram's horn snails breeding well. I do have to do a lot of water changes on it. Up here, these are all Lucas Brett's stock. These are his painted fire red, award-winning, world's reddest. I think he calls them like, I don't know, world's reddest or something like that. But they're painted fire shrimp. They're doing well and looking good. This is all low tech, this tank, obviously. And this is Crypt Pink Flamingo or Pink Panther, same thing. I found out Pink Flamingo started in Europe and in America, whereas Pink Panther was Japanese. They're the same exact species. It was just a matter of branding. So yeah. We have some rabbit snails at the store right now that are pretty cool. We've got these gold rabbit snails with they've got like bright yellow flesh, and then they've got a whole other style of shell that I've never seen that is a spiral, like it looks like a Malaysian trumpet snail, but it's black and blue. It's pretty cool. Also, my yellow shrimp are perpetually pregnant. They're just awesome. I love these guys, these gold line shrimp. Uh, they have been getting a bit uh, disappeared because I've got my rainbow fish up here. I've got rainbow fish in 3 tanks right now, different pseudomagills. And these guys are breeding. It's a female here and 2 males. And they're breeding, or 3 males, I should say, and a female, which I know sounds unfair, but the cookie kind of crumbled that way, and her eggs weren't getting fertilized for a week. Like, I don't know if the males are just really inept in this tank or what. Also, you can see my bulbitis shrimp. These are Indian bulbitis shrimp. They eat algae too. This tank, of course, is near spotless. I have never cleaned the glass on this tank, and it is what it is. I've got another batch of Bentley's amazing baby guppies from Luke Roebuck, the blue ones, the Hawaiian blue Moscows. And you know what, guys? I've been working on this whole lineage from, I don't know now. Here's one guy. This is the Silverado branch, and then there's obviously the Endler with the long double sword leer tail, and the leopard print fin, and all this stuff that I've worked really hard to get. Dots, the half leer tail, half spade tail fin all together. The fish still moving really well. Like, I've just worked really hard. I think this is generation 15 now, these youngest guppies. Um, and it's not a big change I made, so it's like little tweaks I made. But I think I'm gonna abandon these guys. As I said before, I think I'm gonna give them to a good home. A guy named Sam who gave me my bettas over here that have been breeding. I think he may be taking on some of them. I'm not positive on that yet, though. But I think that's how that's going to go down. But yeah, so later today when I get off this stream, I will be pulling. Look at this algae. The reason I let it get this long for like a week, like when I was working, usually I would never let this happen, but it's because it's this easy to remove. I literally just like yank on a little bit and put it together, and like right here, just do the twirly like I'm twirling hair or something, and I can remove that whole plant is clean. I take a bucket with some water and I just fling my hand, and I cleaned all of that algae off of there way quicker than when there's just bits of spot algae. So as long as you don't have anyone to impress, algae's not going to hurt anyone except your own aesthetic standards. That's all it's hurting. Hold on, I'm washing my hands after that because it's slimy. It's slimy. Let's see here. Bye-bye, Fishfam. Bye, Aquatic Central. What do I do at my job? Well, at my job, I do everything. So that's honestly it. I'm at an aquascaping shop, and I'm going to be aquascaping. I'm going to be helping customers. I'm going to be taking care of fish that are sick, fish that are healthy. I'm going to be doing inventory and pricing, and we unwrapped a pallet that was okay. So the pallet is like 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet or something like that. The Japanese ones. Comes over to San Francisco, gets on a truck. The semi truck comes here. We don't know what day. We just know what day it gets into the port. And then for some reason, I don't know what's up with Steve's deal, but he's the owner, and it's, they tell him it'll be coming between this day and this day. And sometimes the store's not open that day, and they don't come at the same time because sometimes passes in like the Sierra Nevadas are closed or whatever. And this stuff comes from a big container ship, gets put onto a truck in San Francisco, and then gets driven up here. And then we unload it off the sidewalk. And so we had it sitting there for 6 hours on the sidewalk the other day. And we had like a stack that was over 10 feet tall. So I think it was 12 feet tall, maybe two pallets of stone and stuff. It started collapsing the boxes. So I think they noticed that and they were like, oh, we shouldn't do that. Just different drivers each time. And then three other 6x6 pallet cubes. We got in like 20 grand worth of, like that's like the price he pays. So like, it's kind of unnerving that all that stuff is in glass and then like, oh, they're gonna stack it, like, so it's a little unnerving, but 88 packages it phenomenally. And so we got steamed wood and sandblasted wood. We got this caterpillar stone that's really cool. I forget the name of it in Japanese, but it's called like caterpillar bite stone is what it translates to. Um, yeah, so that's cool. Right now, I feel like I shouldn't air any issues on the channel, and I don't really have any other than like it's a fish store still, and it's still like a mom and pop operation where one guy he used to have a wife and the two of them ran it together, kind of tag teaming it, and now he's doing it on his own, and I'm sure it's like an immense amount of work. Plus, like he did the Amazon displays, and now he's finally off that account. But he also takes care of some high-end houses in this area of Seattle called Medina and or Medina. I call it Medina. And Hunts Point is another spot. But basically, where the really really rich people live, and some like billionaires like Bill Gates, and where Paul Allen used to live, stuff like that. Where he still has some really big tanks he looks after, and like helps take care of, even if he isn't the caretaker, he'll direct the people how to take care of it, like the other aquarists that have taken over. Because a lot of it's so specialized that like they don't know what plant that was or what they're supposed to do or how to get replacements or what the Latin name was, that sort of thing. Um, so he's doing all that on his own, plus the aquascaping, and he really has no ego about himself. Like he's not online being like, "Look at me," and putting out videos and stuff. And like I've been the one ribbing him, like, "Dude, if you want to go aquascape, you know, Buckingham Palace or whatever, like you're gonna have to be more like George Farmer or someone like that." Like he's known throughout our country in circles of aquascaping for the last 15 or 20 years almost now. He's been aquascaping. He's been in the aquarium hobby that long. But aquascaping, I think 15 years now. So that's a while for a relatively new hobby, to be doing it seriously. And he's had a shop for 5 years now. And he opened right around the same time as Aquarium Co-op, same town basically, too. Um, so I'm just there to kind of be another him, like to try to take on anything that's falling through the cracks. Like if he's helping one customer and we have five in the store, like we don't want it to seem like we're rude. And so we go help other, whoever needs it, but we give them the help they need for as long as they need it. And that can be frustrating to people when it's one person working. So we're trying to get three people on the weekends. We've got another guy named Ryan who's going to be working there, or who is working there, I should say. And then on the weekends, and then I don't know, we might get one more person. Plus, we've got some on-call people that can work. But um, I would say my only gripe is that it's not a career in the sense of like I can't retire off of it. I'm gonna and neither is YouTube, obviously. Make $120 off the YouTube thing a month off the ads or whatever now, which is awesome. Thank you guys. That helps feed my fish and everything. But it's, I'm not going to get rich. I can't pay rent with it or anything. So between the two of those things and then some of my art, it's like I'm still in the poverty zone basically for Seattle for sure. But luckily I have a great wife and she's like, yeah, get back into working again. Work at your pace. After my lightning strikes or the lightning strike injury and all of that recovery that took so long. Um, I'm back in the game. I'm just kind of doing what I love right now because I'm just lucky to be alive, thankful to be alive. But I may have to take on another job doing something that brings home the bacon, especially if we have a kid. So that's why, like, if we hit 5,000 subscribers today, any super chats, any Patreons, even a buck or whatever, means a lot to me lately. I mean, it's always meant a lot to me, but when I can work doing the hobby I love and I can do some YouTube stuff that I love and answer questions and chat with you guys, that's I've got it all as far as that goes. Relic Turtle, what's up, brother? And Yoho Cromwood, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you for wishing me well, and happy April Fool's Day to all you fools out there. Just kidding. Um, so I want to tell this story before I sign off, which is, uh, the story. I have two stories. I got to tell two stories. Sorry, and maybe answer questions if they come through. But let me regale you of my. Hold on. Let's get comfortable. All right. Uh, Waiting on a cab, feeling foolish. Right on. Yeah. Okay. So first week at the store. We had normal crazy street people come in. That happens and look around and they're like, yes, yes. This one guy had his, when the boss was out, he had his hands behind his back clasped like a professor, and he had like a tweed jacket that was just dirty and it smelled awful. And like, no offense to people who are homeless and down and out, like I'm not making fun of them. But this guy came in as if he was looking at the most expensive things, and he was like, "What is the price on this one?" And he had just this like weird like radio announcer voice that he was trying to use. Yes, I see. And how many square feet would you need in your apartment for this model here? And he just like asked these like questions in this kind of, I don't know, goofy voice. And I knew he couldn't buy any, like he didn't have like his shoes had holes in them and stuff. Maybe he's a billionaire who's just eccentric. I don't know. He wasn't. I could tell he was like on something or whatever. But he was just hanging out in the store for a minute, and he didn't really cause any problems or anything. But he went straight to all the expensive stuff, and he was like, "Ah, I see. Yes, yes. And how much would it be if I wanted to keep a piranha?" Like he just straight faced. I think it was like in his reality, like he was curious if he were a millionaire how he would build his fish room. Uh, Alejandro Munro, what's up? I met you at Zen when I visited Zen Aquarium. Oh, welcome. Hello. I'm glad you found me. Maybe you'll be my 5,000th subscriber. That would be rad. Yeah, Howard Hughes. It could be Howard. We do have some crazy billionaires in Seattle. Like some that hang out in like t-shirts and, socks and sandals. Oh, wait, I'm talking about myself. I'm not a billionaire though. That's part I'm missing. In any case, so the next heartwarming, it'll tickle the cockles of your heart. Was we were working and this gal came in and she looked so just tired and worn out. It was on Friday, and she was like, I need to find plants because we have all these guppies and they're getting eaten by their mother, and I have a kindergarten, first grade, and second grade kids in my classroom, and I have this little fish tank. I inherited it from a woman who loved fish, and she had it all balanced with all these other fish in it. I think it's like I don't know what it was, maybe a 40 gallon. Uh, but private school with some resources. But this was kind of a pet project that she was going to have to fund herself. It was clear, and she was like literally counting the money in her like little coin purse. And I know teachers aren't millionaires. But especially not kindergartner teachers. So she was just like, okay, well, I need to stay around $20. Like, what can I get for this? So we had actually just torn down a display that was one of Steve's oldest ADA, like amazing, beautiful displays. And we had done some grab bags of the plants that were in it, including Hydrocotyle verticillata, which is the one that everyone wants. Looks like toadstools. That and the Pink Panther Crips, everyone wants them. Like the prices have doubled, and like ADA's like they know that the word is out, and they're gonna jack it all up and artificially keep the stock low. Like we ordered two or three cases and we got one. So she's saying that I guide her over to a Java fern because she's like, I kill everything. So I was like, how about some Anubias or Java fern? Anubias are a little too expensive, things like that. And so we got her that, and then I was like, "How about some water sprite or some pennywort to get the nitrates out?" Because she brought in some water to test too, and her nitrates were a little high, and so I was like, "All right," and so got her that stuff, and Steve like let me. I was like, "Hold on, let me talk to my owner." So I talked to Steve, and it's like this lady's a teacher. She's trying to get some interesting plants for the kids in the class and stuff. And he's like, well, just give her some stuff out of there. And so he gave her a grab bag and stuff from this tank that people always ask, can I get a clipping of that? Can I get this or that? So I just think that's like great that like the non pretentiousness of the fact that this like pretentious ADA, like, and he knows that like in the aquarium world, if you have an ADA setup, it's beautiful. It's sleek. I love them, but there's some pretension. It's kind of like a Mercedes or a BMW versus like a Honda or whatever. Or my Acura back here. It's not an ADA. It's like a Mr. Aqua, whatever. So my Infinity. So uh, we gave her these plants that she has no idea what they're worth. He's not going to tell her. I didn't tell her that they were worth much or whatever. And we gave her some of the quick growing ones and some easy ones for her classroom for the kindergartner kids to enjoy. So I just thought that was a really touching, kind of cool moment this week at work. Awesome, Alejandro. I'm glad you'll keep me updated on that 80 gal bow front. Now, I remember you now for sure. Um, so yeah, the next story that was rather touching, but also what's the word? It was life. It was so true to life. It just didn't go the way I thought it would go. If this were a story that is there a common name for the toadstool plants? Yeah, it's like hydrocotyle verticillata is also known as like miniature pennywort or parasol pennywort. Some people call it umbrella pennywort, but it's just a pennywort that has a large sized circular pad instead of like a clover shaped pad or anything. And it sends out runners that still crawl, but the shoots only go straight up, which is nice. Or, I mean, sometimes they go a little out of the way, but yeah. Um, like everything in the aquarium world, someone will give it some, hokey name or some really great name. And according to that, people will see it and buy it. Especially in tissue cultures, if you don't know what it really is and you Google it and you see a picture, a lot of times those names like Pink Panther, bam, people buy that. But the hydrocotyle is the one that like we know aquascapers in town literally hang out while we're opening the cases. It's like a freaking Harry Potter book release or something. Like we had like six people hanging out like, oh, oh, it's not in that one. Oh, it's not in that one. All right, so let me tell you the last story and then I'm signing off. But you guys, thank you so much for being a part of my journey, for hanging in there with the channel as I'm getting into work. I think I'm going to start broadcasting probably today. Like Mondays will be a, con, a consistent day that I can broadcast, most likely. I think. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you have more questions. You can always put them in the comments after this. But the last touching story to me that I just loved working at the shop, it really felt rewarding. Unlike, I've had a lot of jobs where I do, I love doing art for people like Lucas Bretz or aquatic arts or somebody who's passionate about their job and the project. That's always fun. the corporate ones that I do freelance are just sometimes they're just so soulless and they're just like, well, what do you think will sell more? Or what says more 60-year-old college educated retiree with kids? Like they get so specific with the demographics on logos. Um, but sometimes it just feels good to like vibe off the customer or the client's energy and not like have to inject this energy into the project that's just never there anyways. And in this business so far, like I love fish keeping, I love helping people, I love teaching, I love learning, and I'm doing both all those things all day long. Plus, I'm getting a workout, which I didn't really expect. But I mean, like carrying tanks out to cars and carrying like rocks and pallets of dirt and sand and stuff. Man, I got a workout, that's for sure, and dehydrated, so I need to watch that. But last story, Alex, you April Fool, shut up. So this these people come in. First a little girl, then a little boy. I assume a little boy. Maybe not. I don't know. In our city, it's not safe to assume. Maybe it's not anywhere in the U.S. But um, they were in like a. The child was in a uh, like a onesie kind of pajama y looking okay, it was hospital scrubs basically, and they still had a bracelet on from the hospital, and we are maybe 2 miles from Children's Hospital, like one that people come from Alaska, people come from Montana, all over the western United States. People come to our Children's Hospital, Seattle, for cancer treatment of childhood leukemia and rare diseases. So we have maybe a nurse, I think is who it was, somebody with a name tag that I couldn't read, it was under her shirt, and then a mother who was just kind of smiling, and then these two really excited kids. One's definitely a girl, about 11, maybe. No, probably 9, probably 9. And the other is a boy who's probably 7 or 8. And um, shaved head, like very, very shaved, and looked like chemo. Honestly, I'll just say it. So the boy kind of like had this smile on his face when he came in, but he looked tired. He looked. I couldn't tell if he didn't want to be there or what. But then I kind of put the pieces together of what was going on. And the mom said they like fish, and she's been such a good sister, and she wants to be a marine biologist, and so she goes on this crazy rant, and she's like, you know what my favorite fish is? And I was like, no. And I'm like trying to get things out relatively quickly. We got a line of people and everything. I want to spend time with them, but also I'm trying to catch. She wanted me to catch the last. We had like 7 neon tetras in a 80-gallon tank that had all this driftwood and like 40 other fish in it, like species of fish, and all these Venezuelan fish, catfish, cories, plants. Ugh. And so I'm trying to catch these last tetras out of there, and this girl is like yanking on my shirt down low, and she's like, you know my favorite mating ritual in the fish world? And I was like, no, what was it? And she's like, my favorite mating ritual in the fish world is when the lanternfish mate and the male becomes part of the female, and they become one fish, and he's stuck forever in her chest. And I was like, I know about this. If you don't look it up, it is terrifying. But I just thought it was great that this little girl wearing all this pink clothing and all this like stereotypically culturally appropriated girl stuff is just like, yeah, lanternfish becoming the female basically envelops the male and like sucks off their it's protein. It's crazy. It's a crazy weird thing. And then next she's like, how do these reproduce? And I'm like, well, they lay eggs, you know, and I'm like, just giving her the rundown. Next, she's just, everything is about fish sex to this little girl, which I just think is like funny. She's like, evolutionarily, do you think that they're blue so that they can attract the girls? Because I know a lot of girls who like blue, but sometimes boys like blue. So what do you think? Why would they have both colors? Like, why would both people like those colors if, and I was like, well, fish are a little different, and maybe the girl fish, it shows that they're healthy in their, you know, in their diet. And she's just like, well, what, how do they know how smart they are if they can avoid getting eaten? Because if I was going to mate, I would want the one that can avoid getting eaten. And she was just going on and on and on, and this boy was just kind of tired, and the girl was like, come on, whatever his name was, Keegan or something, Jaden, Hayden, Aiden, Braden, and was like, hey, look at this, look at this. And the mom was, I was like, what kind of tank do you guys have? You know, trying to ask these questions. And the little girl's picking just random stuff. We've just got everything going on. We got tetras, we got a corridora, we got a blue ram, we got an angelfish. And I'm like, hey, do you guys have a bunch of tanks? I'm talking to the mom kind of to the side, and she's like, yeah, well, we've got all the tanks we could need, and it's fine. Just get them whatever they want. And I'm looking at the kid and I'm thinking, it has this kid has cancer, and I'm like, these fish will kill each other. Um, will they'll kill each other like, and you know, and I'm saying that to the mom quietly because they want to get an Oscar. We don't have any. So then they're like, do you have any bala sharks? And the little girl's like, I love bala sharks. They have all these colors so when they mate that they can see each other. She's going on every fish. She's talking about how they mate and what the colors and shapes have to do with them mating, which is just so adorable. Like just what kids do not have a filter. And she was just really, have a good day, Relic Turtle. She was just really excited, really adorable. And then the boy finally kind of speaks up as I'm saying to the mom. I'm like, hey, so you know, these neon tetras, they're pretty quick. They might be able, you know, they live with angelfish. They'll probably be able to get away. But like, do you have like 120 gallon, or how big of a tank do you have? Because they also got rasboras, they got plecos, they got a bunch of fish. And some of them definitely did not get along together. Like they picked out little endlers and stuff like that, and they wanted the pregnant ones and all that. And so I look over to the mom again when I think the kids are like pointing at something, and I'm like, yeah. So honestly, like which tank is this? Like I just don't want to sell you something and then have you disappointed when like they eat each other. And the mom just kind of, she's like, it's whatever the kids want. And then the little boy looks up and he goes, I want them to eat each other. So here I'm thinking there's like this sweet little story, but like this kid, you know, little boy with cancer, I am assuming, and his sister who thinks this is a fun adventure with her sick brother. They were getting an aquarium, and the mom just said, "Whatever you want to do, I'll get whatever you want." She was lost. She didn't know what to do, and it was making her happy, you know, seeing her kids excited again. And you could just tell this kid was tired, the boy. But when I realized like this kid knows about fish, and the reason he's picking them is because he's got this like probably working through death and stuff, and like the way a kid, I don't know, it's heartbreaking. But he looks up and he's like, I want them to eat each other. So he overheard it, and that was what the kid was trying to do, was have a tank that was like Thunderdome. So that was a really like all in a week, had some really touching moments. Life doesn't always go as you plan, and that's kind of, I don't know what that story has to teach, but I felt honored to be a part of, you know, we have people that are depressed coming in and fish cheer them up. We have people who've lost fish and they're getting new ones. And it's not always about the fish, it's about the time and energy and things you remember from when you had the fish or as a kid when you had fish. And those were good, simple times. And when you look into the fish tank, maybe that's what you remember. Whatever it may be. Or maybe you're fascinated by the fish themselves. Doesn't matter. But it's so much more than just fish, as you would see outside the hobby, and that's true with any passion that someone has. But the store is really revealing that to me, and that's how I think I'll fight the burnout of people who just won't listen and want to do certain things. Because right when you think you are trying to help someone and have it figured out, and I was assuming I knew what was best, this little boy was all along trying to set up an epic battle to the death. Like that was his like make a wish. Which is probably like what a lot of little like 7 to 10-year-old boys would be curious to see if they had fish. I know I wanted piranhas when I was a kid, and I had an Oscar when I was like 12. So yeah, and the mom was just hanging on, and uh, this, today, this week, the first week definitely goes out to that family. So, all right, guys, I will talk to you later. Leave me a comment. Write how you were an April Fool at one point with your fish tank, but how it's all worked out, what you learned. If you left the heat on, that happened in one tank at the shop, and we lost 25 Melitania, or no, Chelantheri. I don't remember, some sort of rainbow fish. Honestly, I couldn't tell what it was because they were all dead. But it was a like moment that some other employee who actually doesn't work there anymore, they had ick at one point, and the heater was on a timer switch instead of off, and the timer was like they didn't see it while they were working that it was on. They thought it was unplugged, and it turned on when we were hanging out after like an hour and a half after working, like it clicked on, and I noticed the orange light, and I was like, that's why they all died. They're getting like 90 degrees at night. So learning things, seeing things. I have so much to learn, and I want to thank Aquarium Zen for giving me a shot. And right now I want to thank you guys for watching my videos, and hopefully I can, holy cow, someone towing a car outside with a rope, and the other car and just the guy steering behind it, which I've been there, but it's sketchy. So, in any case, today back to my ADD energy videos rather than the middle of the night observation of fish videos where I'm like, hey, um, this is where the fish look at the shrimp, and then the shrimp and the fish get along. Yeah. So I have more energy right now today, obviously, having the day off. And thank you guys. Happy April Fool's Day. If you pulled a trick on someone, leave that in the comments too. But I really would like to know about a time when you screwed up, but it all worked out, or something you learned, like you were like, holy cow, how did I do that in the fish keeping thing? And it worked out. Like a what do you call it? Just a situation where you thought it was going one way and it ended up another. Like, where you had a male fish for 5 years and all of a sudden you get another fish or something and the male turns out to be a female and has a billion babies. Stuff like that. So leave that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Do what you do. We're at 5K, I think, today. I bet it'll be there by the time I'm done with this video. I love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Stick with me. We'll be going to Florida as a channel soon, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care, and be kind to each other and your fish. Unless you're a little boy wanting